Welcome back to the Hood Knees Fantasy Football Podcast. This is episode 113. I'm your host, Keem, and I'm all by myself doing the Week 15 waivers. So hopefully I can blow through these and you guys can just take who you want from them. This is where things get serious. If you're in playoffs, you're listening. If you're not in playoffs, you're probably not. I don't know why you're listening to this. If there's a punishment in your league, then you are listening to this because even if you're out of playoffs, you're trying not to get last place so you don't get punished. So for those of you listening, let's go ahead and jump into quarterbacks. At the top, Shedeur Sanders, 8% rostered. Went out there and did his thing, honestly, against Tennessee in a crazy matchup where they almost came back and I think tied it at the end. They went for that 2-point conversion. They couldn't get it. So very unfortunate for them. But he was out there balling. I think he threw 2 touchdowns and rushed one in, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, only 8% rostered. And the coach mentioned that he will be the starter for the rest of the season. So he had 33 fantasy points this week. He had 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rush touchdown, so 4 touchdowns total. So he gets Chicago next week, who, we just saw the Packers go crazy on. But temper expectations for Shedeur in this game. They're going to play against Chicago, who is trying to bounce back after that loss. Next, we got Bryce Young, 17% rostered. He's coming off the bye. So he is interesting because he kind of picked it up right before the bye. I would be okay with playing him against the Saints in a divisional matchup in a very tight divisional race against the Bucs. You have to be struggling at quarterback. Maybe you had Daniel Jones and he's gone for the season. But yeah, Bryce Young, 17% rostered. Couple more names here. We got, I didn't ever think I'd be saying this, but JJ McCarthy playing against Dallas. We said it before, play your players against Dallas. And so if JJ McCarthy is going to have his best game of the season, it'll be this week. It has to be. If it's not, I don't know what to tell you, man. But JJ McCarthy, 30% rostered, pick him up and start him if you need him, especially if you had Daniel Jones as your quarterback or your quarterback sucks and you're struggling. Pick him up. He should do good against Dallas. Last one on the list, if you're desperate enough, pick up Tyler Shuck from the New Orleans Saints. He went and did his thing against Tampa Bay in a divisional matchup to get Carolina next week, who are a tougher defense. So I would definitely temper expectations for Tyler Shuck. But he did have 2 rushing touchdowns, which kind of really boosted his numbers this week. The week before, though, against Miami, he had 2 passing touchdowns. So he's kind of starting to pick things up. This would be a real test for him. So I would be trying not to start him this week against Carolina if I was in that position. But that does it for QBs. Let's go ahead and jump into wide receivers. At the very top, Kayshon Boutte, who caught a touchdown on Thursday night, I believe. It was against the Giants. 29% rostered. So not too unavailable, but also not very widely available. He's probably already rostered in your league. But pick him up. Or sorry, that was last week. My mistake. That was on Monday night before they went into the bye. They're on bye this week. Apologies. But yeah, he caught a touchdown that Monday night game. And if he's still on waivers because people just didn't need him this week, pick him up. He could be a flex play for you if you need it. Next on the list, Andre Yoshivas from the Bengals. The reason for this is that T. Higgins had a concussion like 3 weeks ago and then didn't play Thursday night on Thanksgiving Day and then played this last week. Slammed his head on the ground pretty hard. Still came back into the game, hit his head again in the game, And then there are reports saying that he was experiencing concussion-like symptoms Sunday night and Monday morning. So he's back in concussion protocol. So that means Yoshivas would be the next man up. I don't think he's my favorite pickup by any means. I feel like he doesn't get many receptions, and he's very touchdown dependent. So if he doesn't get you a touchdown, you're not going to be happy with him. So yeah, just a name to throw out there. Alec Iomanner, the rookie from Tennessee, caught a touchdown this week. Didn't do much else. That was his only catch of the game. It was against a tough Cleveland defense, but the Titans did their thing. They won that game. So Iomanner, only 3 targets, but still caught a touchdown. Could pick it up end of the season. Again, not very interested in him like crazy, but just adding him in here just to give you guys players to pick up. Most of these guys, I think Kayshon Boutte I put most fab towards. The rest of these guys you can, if you want to pick them up, go for it. Last but not least, I put in Jalen Coker, who is on bye. He's only 4% rostered. He had 6 targets, 4 receptions, 74 yards, and a touchdown against the Rams in Week 13. They played the Saints in a divisional matchup in a very tight divisional race, like I mentioned. And so that Bryce Young's going to be chucking it. He's going to be slinging it. And Coker's picking it up. He came back from his injury, I think it was Week 7. So hasn't done much, really. Had a couple of decent performances, but that last one before the bye was his biggest performance. So just stash him. You never know. He ends up popping off next week. You'll be glad he's on your bench and not on your opponents. But that'll do it for wide receivers. Let's go ahead and jump into running backs. This is probably the biggest pickup for sure is Jalen Wright from the Miami Dolphins. Devon Achane went down with what appeared to be a rib injury, and so he may miss time. Jalen Wright had 24 carries, 107 yards, and 1 touchdown against the Jets this week. Him and or Ollie Gordon, the rookie, who had 5 carries for 17 yards and a touchdown. So didn't get as much work, probably more of the goal line stuff. Jalen Wright appears at the moment to be the more favorable of the 2 backs to own. My guess is it's going to be a 1A, 1B type of situation if Achane doesn't go. They're playing Pittsburgh, who's a tough defense. I would pick up probably Jalen Wright over Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon's probably listed ahead in the depth chart, but I'd be more excited about Jalen Wright. He seemed to do a lot more of the work in this game, but this could change by tomorrow if we hear more news. So if you're unsure when you're putting in your waiver claims tomorrow, reach out on the Discord. We can give more clarity, but you just never know. You obviously want one of the 2. We're not sure which one you want, but just try to get at least one of these guys. One of them is going to be the starter for sure on Sunday next week. So next on the list, Emari Demercado. I'm putting him in here because the Cardinals are playing pretty well. They're moving the ball with Brissett. And when Demercado's healthy, he's the starter for sure. And he gets a majority of the carries. He's been dealing with an ankle injury the last 3 weeks. They get Houston next week, which is a tough defense. But if Demercado is a go, you definitely want him over the other guys. So he's only 11% roster. Just pick him up off waivers. He could flex for you, or if anything. So maybe a decent pickup. But that does it for running backs. Moving on to tight ends at the very top, Isaiah Likely, who has got it done 2 weeks in a row, 2 touchdowns each week. Should have had 2 touchdowns in this last game against Pittsburgh, but they, for some reason, called it back. He caught it, put 2 feet on the ground, and then ball got swiped out of his hands, and they said, nope, didn't have control or didn't count, or I don't know. But refs reversed it. He did have a touchdown this game. He also should have had a touchdown against Cincinnati, but he dropped the ball into the end zone. So his score lines are kind of masked by those should have been touchdowns. So he gets Cincinnati next week in a huge game for Cincinnati, a big game for the Ravens as well. So I would definitely be interested in picking up Isaiah Likely. Mark Andrews, after getting paid, just vanished off the face of the earth. So good for him. The biggest thief in Baltimore at this moment. But Isaiah Likely only 6% rostered. Pick him up. At the very least, you can play him against Cincinnati this week. Cincinnati just cannot cover tight ends. So I would think the strongest play, at least this week, if you're in need of a tight end, would be Isaiah Likely, or just to block someone else. If someone else picks him up and he goes out there and scores 2 touchdowns against you, you're going to be annoyed, especially in the playoffs. So don't risk it. Pick him up. Make sure he's on your team and not your opponent's. Another couple names here. Mike Gesicki, who really went out there and did his thing. He had 6 receptions, 86 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets against the Buffalo Bills, who were the most difficult matchup for tight ends this year so far. So he's looking pretty good. And like I said, they're playing against Baltimore next week. So divisional matchup, both teams really need a win, especially the Bengals. I think if the Bengals lose, they're pretty much out. So they need to win. And especially if they don't have T. Higgins because of that concussion protocol, Target's going to have to go somewhere. So look for Mike Gesicki. He could be a valuable add this week and the following weeks. He's got some very good matchups after that. Last but not least, I put this guy in here just for funsies. Mason Taylor of the New York Jets. They get an easy matchup against Jacksonville next week. I don't know who's going to be throwing the ball, so I wouldn't be excited for him. He hasn't really stepped up this season as a rookie. He's only caught 1 touchdown so far this year. He had 1 game with 12 targets, 9 receptions. That was against Dallas. So, take what you want from it. He hasn't really impressed as a rookie, to be real. I was interested in him earlier on in the season, but he never really proved me right. His only touchdown was against Cincinnati, the best matchup for tight ends. So, and that was a touchdown he actually caught from Breece Hall on some trick play stuff. So he's just kind of a dart throw, like desperation play. But that's it for tight ends. Let's go ahead and get into a couple kickers here. Eddie Pinheiro for the San Francisco 49ers, supposed to be coming back from injury. He was out this week. Well, they're on bye, so he was out week 13. They get the bye week. They get Tennessee the following week. So pick him up. He's been pretty automatic this year, so definitely a good pickup. And only 8% rostered, so pretty widely available. Another kicker here, Will Reichard from the Minnesota Vikings, their kicker. They play Dallas, lots of points for sure in that game. So just good to have a kicker in a game where there's a high over-under or just against a very soft defense. That's it for kickers. Couple defenses here. Dallas versus Minnesota, 11% rostered for Dallas. JJ McCarthy can go out and fall on his face any given moment. So I would be trying not to start Dallas defense, but you never know. They could get some decent points. San Francisco plays Tennessee, 25% rostered. Tennessee, Cam Ward, they have not been very good. They lost Ridley for the year, and they just haven't been able to move the ball. They did pretty good against the Browns this week, so I'll give it to them. But still, Tennessee's been a very good matchup for opposing defenses. So pick up the SF defense, only 25% rostered. Last one, which is the most interesting one, is Jacksonville versus the Jets. The Jets, Tyrod Taylor left the game last week. So if they're without Tyrod Taylor and without Justin Fields, I don't even know who the third string is that they threw in. So if they're starting that guy on Sunday, you definitely want Jacksonville defense. Jacksonville's been playing really good. I believe they're top of their division now. That team's moving. So definitely Jacksonville is the top priority, 37% rostered. So not widely available, probably already scooped up. But if they're out there, put a claim in for them. Make sure you get those guys. But that'll do it for this episode. And I guess I was going to say we'll see you guys in the next one, but I was going to say good luck in your matchups. Please reach out to us in the Discord if you have any questions. We will be happy to answer them and help you out any way we can. Anyways, that'll do it for this episode. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.